First, I would like to say that we had an excellent final panel. I think that's really the best final panel that we had in the five conference that we organized together. And I think it's really the proof of how we can collaborate, ETUC, ETUI, in a big conference when we want to try to influence the idea, but also to see how the actors can improve or can also testify about what they are doing or they are doing to a big audience. That's easy to conclude because there is no idea to have a conclusion of this conference. There is no idea of having a conclusion because the question that we have about inequality and equality is a very old question, and there is no way that we could resolve that in 3 days of conference, and not even everyone knows that I like longer and longer and bigger and 5 days conference. But the idea was to put again this question on the political agenda. And I think doing that now, it was the right moment, because you can put ideas in the wrong moment and nothing is moving. And why I think it's the right moment, and Esther know much more about that than me, but when we had the minimum wage directive approved, and I'm the business of the EU integration for not too long, that's more than 30 years, 35 years, it's really something which is game changer. Nobody thought that we could have a directive on minimum wage. And as said, not only on minimum wage, but the second part about the actors, about the institution, and about you can rebalance power. And that's even more important. If we know all the limitation, it's not that which is important. So it's something new happening with that. And there is a lot of other proposals, but I think this one is very important. And that's for the trade unions. But I was really surprised that by the Commission presentation. The Commission presentation, that's a long time that I didn't see someone from the Commission speaking about capital and labor. Yeah. Capital and labor commission in the cabinet of the commissioner. Oh, that's a change. That's a big change. And that's also not by chance, because that's people that know what they are doing. They control their discourse. They know that they are active. So that's something changing. And I was in the academic conference even more surprised by the debate about the ECB. And one of the guys I know is more on the left of the left. And the guy say, no, the ECB seems to be more progressive than the government. I say, oh, this guy, left of the left, very good scholar, say, and it was confirmed, that their debate about inequality in the ECB is a serious debate, and they have new generation speaking about that. Okay, that's something new that I should say to my student too. I didn't know. But if you look the environment is completely changing, and that's why I think this conference is so important, because we discuss the inequality, but also we collectively try to think about what kind of equality we have. And that's the difficult question, what kind of inequality? And as the Yolanda is from Spain, I will speak a few words in Spanish. Caminante no hay camino. So it means you do the way walking. And that's also what we are doing here. We are creating the path. We are creating what we want to build together. We are creating what we want as a society by doing. And I was said a lot by the speaker. It's not just blah, blah, blah. Researchers are very good on that, but it's also creating, seeing the innovations, trying to scale up. So I think this conference is really very important. It's not conclusive, but give also an agenda for this, what I call the new generation also of researcher of ETUI, because we organize also for the first time this conference in a much more decentralized way. You had all the face of most of the face of the ETUI, presenting what was discussed. And I think that's important. That's the legacy. As you know, it's my last big conference. If I had the idea, I think that's the legacy for the future.
Yes.
Good team, incredible integration between also the generation. I will not just say about the new. Finally, I'm never so good in that. Don't want to thank everyone. And first, the one that we don't see is the interpreter. There is interpretation, but with COVID, we don't see interpretation. So I don't know where you are, somewhere, in which country, but I think that we first thank the interpreter because they help not only people in the room, most of them understand English, but people that were online. So thank you. I would like also to thank particularly Maria and Sophie, because they did a fantastic job. And all the team of ETUI that have prepared this conference. I don't know that if I really have to thank the ETUC, because it's a joint conference and we can thank each other, but I think it's also the way that the good relationship and the interest, common interest to put an important question was working very well. I would like also, and finish, thank the technician, because normally we have always a problem if we have a kind of online and hybrid conference, but this time I think it worked perfectly. So thank you all, and for the team of ETUI, we will have a kind of photo, so don't leave after. Let's have the photo to remember. It will not be on the website or outside, or a good memory of this conference. So thank you all.
So I really want to thank Philippe. This is I've just realised it's your last big conference. So I would have thought of something more meaningful than just thank you for all of your work in putting these conferences together. It's great to see it back in person. That's so important. I think I really have to thank you for your leadership and making sure that the ETUC always has its support. If we look at the minimum wage directive, we never would have won that struggle without the work of Torsten in relation to the wages, and the incredible intelligent help we got from Nicola Contortis in relation to making legal arguments at the very last minute on a number of things, which absolutely swayed, and one in particular, that the right to collective bargaining was something that belonged to trade unions. So I see a very real, practical and immediate benefit to the ETUC of the ETUI. I also think myself, like whenever I've negotiated change, which at the end of the day, we're trying to help the people who work in our unions to meet the challenges of their jobs. And whenever you've to negotiate change, you sit in front of a group of very worried workers. And they always have like three questions, I think, in their minds. And their first question is, how is this change going to affect me? And they're really worried about that. And for them, sometimes we say the solution is, well, there's going to be training. And I think that for some people, training was a horrific experience for them when they were young. It wasn't something. So saying there's going to be training just sounds like even more scary than it did before you started talking. And I think that's where the importance of the ETUI's training is so important, that we make sure that people are exposed to different training techniques, so that they know that training doesn't have to be the type of thing it was when I went to school, for example. The second question then that people have is, okay, I'll cooperate with all this change. I'll do all of that. I'll do the training. I'll do whatever else. Will there be a benefit for me? How will I benefit from all of this? And again, I think that's where the work that we do jointly on equipping people on understanding how to collectively bargain, how to put, a negotiation agenda together, all of that work is incredibly important. getting to understand the 4-day week, what are the arguments, how to negotiate for workers' data, all of those things, very real. And I see the important outcome all of that. And that's the second thing you're asked as an official, how will I? So knowing how to do that. But here's the crunch question. They'll look at you and you can see what it is that, and why should I trust you to negotiate this for me? And the ability for union officials to say, I have access to information through my branch, through my union, being part of the ETUC. We've all of the services available to us from the ETUI, whether it's, how to calculate what the wages should be, understanding accounts, all of that makes the difference. And all of that directly contributes to a safe transition in every single workplace. So every official who's trying to negotiate a safe future for workers, having access to the type of work that you do at the ETUI is so important. And I want to say, because all too often we get into the big macro thing. But I think we have to remember at the end of the day, the work that you're doing is having a real direct benefit on every worker who's facing the scary future of a change in their workplace. So I really want to thank you, Philip, and everybody who works at the ETUI for that. And let's get a drink or something.
Absolutely.